Okay. Hey everyone, I'm just going to get started now. My computer still has the like blue circle going, but when I've watched the previous videos, it looks like I am actually live already, so I'll just get started. So welcome to day 4 of the Break Your Barriers Challenge. Today we are, which I absolutely love. Okay, yes. All right, now my computer is confirming that I'm live, so that's exciting. Hopefully it That's one of my favorites. I love working with people on their running form and see them going from kind of feeling inefficient or looking like they're in pain running and seeing them just become so much more graceful and so much more at ease in running. And this is also really important not only for efficiency, but to increase your longevity as you run as well. So for those of you who are watching, if you haven't gone back or if you haven't watched the previous videos, I've been posting them in the units on the left-hand bar so you can catch up with them there and all the homework threads and everything. Awesome. Okay, so we have some people on. Thank you, everyone who's already jumping in and commenting. Hey, Mike, thank you for being on. Hey, Simon. Welcome, Robert and Brittany and Rachel. I'm so glad to have you here. Okay, and so for those of you, I think most of you know me, but if we have anyone new watching later on, my name is Joy Lackey. I am a running coach and I help runners achieve their time, distance, and fitness goals. Even if you've tried to get into running before and haven't been able to stick with it, or if you're trying to get back into running after an injury and you're trying to figure out how to do that safely without getting injured again. So awesome. And I know everyone knows the drill here. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Rosemary. If you're watching, drop me a comment. Let me know that you're here. If you haven't already, I can't see the numbers or anything in this new YouTube studio, so this is the only way I know who's watching. And I really appreciate everyone who's on today. Okay, yes, so does everyone have their worksheet for today? We've got, let's see. Yeah, we've got some like a chart here that's hopefully visible. I'll have a bigger version of it to show during the talk about the different phases of the running cycle. So that'll be really helpful to follow along and take notes. And then most of you already know this. These videos will be on until Monday, and then I'm going to take them down. So if you haven't watched yet, make sure you catch up before then. And if we haven't talked yet, also make sure you check your other inbox. I think I've chatted with most of you so far, but if we haven't already, you probably have a message from me in your filtered messages. As always, I'll post the homework thread right after this and post it in units as well. I think it's so great seeing what everyone is doing and the training plans that you're all making. It looks like you're doing some really great work, so I'm really excited to see all of that. And then, okay, who else do we have on? Oh, hi, Sam. I'm glad to see you here. Hi, Darren. Hey, Kirsten. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And hey, Jamie. Thanks for watching. So yes, and I think a lot of you know we've been doing a giveaway every day based on who's been commenting the previous day. So I haven't seen him come online yet, but if Gary is out there, Gary Stark has won our giveaway for today, and that is I thought this was kind of fun. The Hex laundry soap, which is specifically, or laundry detergent, which is specifically for athletes to help with the smell of your athletic clothes. So I know that's definitely something that I really like to have as kind of a stronger laundry detergent for my clothes. So I will get in contact with Gary and send that to him later. And if you haven't commented yet, make sure you do so to be entered into the giveaway for tomorrow. Oh, hey, Matt, glad to see you here. Okay, so today we are going to jump in to running form. Okay, does everyone have your homework sheet here? Because this will be I think this will be more of a note-taking one. Let me see. So I've got, your sheet will look like this, but you probably can't really see any of this on the camera. So I've got my own little charts here that will probably be backwards for you, but hopefully be a little bit more visible. So to start off with today, the first thing we're going to do is just go through the running gait cycle and what the different parts do for your run and the different purpose of the different parts of the running gait. And then we're going to go through what the purpose is, like what are some of the different things that we look at during each part of the gait cycle. Where can things go wrong? Where might you need to improve things? And then we're going to go over a couple of the different factors that I think are the easiest ones to improve without having an instructor trying to show you specific stretches. So ones that you can improve more just from understanding the theory. So we're going to start off with our running gait. Let me see if you can see this. Yeah, this is going to be backwards, but you have this same chart in your homework packet. So hopefully you'll be able to follow along with that. So we're going to start with the initial contact here. That is when your foot initially contacts the ground. That's when you hit the ground. This is where you get a lot of the force in running, a lot of the jarring that you get. So this is definitely a place that we spend a lot of time looking at in running form to help prevent your injuries, is right here at the initial contact. When you get to your mid stance, this is where your weight is all on one leg. You're kind of more balanced, and this tends to be a pretty stable position, but there are definitely some things that we look at. If you're off balance, you can be torquing some muscles and things. So this is also important. And then you've got the takeoff here. And you can see, some people will call it the toe off or the push off. And that's where you get a lot. That's another really important part these are all important parts for the running cycle, I guess. But that's where you get a lot of your stride length and a lot of your distance and a lot of your efficiency from. So that's going to be a really important one that we look at in gait analysis. And then here we've got during the swing, this is our flight time. This is a time that makes running more efficient than walking. So, when you're a little kid and you're running around the playground, I'm sure we've all done it, running around with our arms out, pretending that we're flying. There are a lot of things that are appealing about flying, but one of the things about it is that flying is so much more efficient than walking. You can go so much faster. You still have the air resistance, the wind resistance, but in general, you don't have the ground resistance, the ground friction. You don't have that force being absorbed into your body. It's all horizontal. And so this is what makes running so much more efficient than walking. And this is what we're trying to maximize as we run, is your time in the air. As we get here to the mid swing, and by this point, your other foot has already contacted the ground. But as you get to the mid swing, where your knee is crossing the knee of your stationary leg, we'll look there and I'll get into it a little bit. But there's some. This is also a very stable position, but how this moving leg is. Sorry, I'm probably not holding. There we go. But how this leg is moving through definitely affects. This is where a lot of the times the knee can be doing something kind of wonky, and that'll be putting some torque on the knee and the hips. And then as we get to the terminal swing here, you're toeing off from your other foot. And this is also where you have just how high you're lifting your knee can really affect your speed there. So that's awesome. That's just a breakdown. Of course, running is a fluid motion. These aren't like 6 concrete steps, and there's going to be stuff going on in between, but those are the the main phases of the running gait, the gait cycle that we look at, and the places that we look at to see what's going on and what's happening with that. All right, so now let's go back, look at each of these, and just see what are some of the things that you can look at. I do whole 4-hour clinics on this, so I can't go over everything, but I want to give you at least an overview of the different types of things that you can be thinking about at each stage of the gait cycle. And then I'll go more in depth in some of the things that you can start looking at right away and start changing to help improve your gait. All right, so initial contact. Like I said, this is where your body is absorbing a lot of the force. This is where a lot of injuries come from. What I usually teach people is to try to land on your midfoot instead of on your heel. Oh, I've got a better picture of that here. So let me make sure. Okay, cool. So you can kind of see in this picture here, let me hold it a little closer. Sorry, it's all backwards for you. You've got a kind of painful runner right here, and then a really more graceful looking runner right here. And there are a lot of different things that go into it, where we're going to be talking a lot more about posture today. That's really important. But right now we're looking at the foot strike, where you can see that hitting on the heel kind of sends force up into the knee and then into the hip. Whereas if you're hitting on your midfoot, then you've still got that some spring in your ankle and some spring in your knee. And so that disperses the forces a lot better in general. This doesn't work for everyone. When you watch elite runners, like I love watching the elite runners at the Boulder, and a lot of them are landing very flat-footed or close enough that I can't really tell if they're landing quite on their heel or quite on their midfoot. So this isn't a hard and fast rule, but if you are finding that you're having hip issues or knee issues, arthritis or anything like that, this is a really good place to look and start. As you can see between these runners, start shifting your weight forward on your hips instead of having your hips back here, and that'll set you up to land more on your midfoot there. And so it doesn't work for everyone. I was just talking to someone the other day who's been a runner for years, and she's tried switching to a midfoot landing, and that just hasn't worked for her. And so if that's your experience, if you've tried it and it doesn't work, there are some amazing runners out there who do land on their heels. But this is something that can be really helpful for you to switch up if you're concerned about injury, is to start to play with this a little bit as well and shift forward to a midfoot landing so that you're getting the full use of that spring instead of shooting pressure right up or force right up through your knees and hips. Okay, then as we go to mid stance, this is one where I'll look. This is a place where I find that any kind of core instability really starts to affect things. And so if I'm doing a gait analysis and I'm looking at someone at mid stance and one of their hips or both of their hips are dropping dramatically in mid stance, that's going to show me a core instability. This is something you can pay attention to it yourself as well. All of these are things that you can pay attention to yourself or get someone to take a video of you and see if you can notice any of them. So the reason why that's important is because when you find your hips out of balance and one hip dropping down, then that's changing the forces. That's putting a strange angle on your hips, which goes down to your knees and down to your feet. So that can be creating some extra stress in your body. And I know that for me, that's a lot of what causes, I'll get this knee pain when I run. And a lot of it is because I have a little bit of core instability on one side and then glute instability as well. And so one of those hips is dropping and then my knee isn't tracking right and it's putting a lot of stress on my knee. And so this is where, if you're seeing this, you really want to be doing some more core strengthening and some more glute strengthening as well on the side. Actually, on the side that's higher is usually the one that's weak, or hips on the side that's higher and core on the side that's dropping. As we get to the takeoff here, and always feel free to drop in questions if anything isn't clear. As we get to the takeoff here, this is what I'm mostly looking at here. Let me see if I can make this clear, is this toe off. You know what? This seems to be a nice takeoff picture here. So the toe off, one of the things you really want to think about here is pushing off from your big toe. So if you're like me, this can be a little bit difficult because if you're someone who has like your second toe is longer than your big toe. And that's often because it's actually not so much the toe length that affects it, but the metatarsal length. I'm showing you on my hand, but it would be the same on the foot, is you want to be pushing off from the pad of the first toe. And so if sometimes you might have that imbalance, or not imbalance, but you might have, your foot might be shaped not quite as optimally. And so you really have to focus on shifting your weight to the inside of your feet. Let's see, there we go. So that you're really pushing off from the pad of your big toe, the front of your first metatarsal. And so that'll be somewhere where this is a place that can throw your whole gait off. If you're not pushing off from the right place, your foot kind of ends up flipping around in a weird way. And so that you lose some efficiency there, as well as putting some strain on your joints if your feet aren't just tracking completely straight there. If you're pushing off kind of from the middle of your foot and then kind of coming around and landing. All right, this flight time, as I said, this is what we really want to maximize. And there are some different ways of doing this, but while we're here, what I really want to emphasize is actually your cadence. So when you look at really good runners, your cadence is, their cadence is all at least 180 beats per minute. So that's how many times one of their feet hits the ground. It's at least 3 times per second. So their foot turnover. And the reason why this is so important is because, as we said, we want to maximize our time in the air and minimize our time on the ground. And having that really fast foot turnover is a way to do that, because if your feet are hitting the ground 3 times a second, you're not hanging out there on the ground. You're pushing yourself back up into the air again as quickly as possible. And so, so upping your cadence is a great way to increase your speed, increase your efficiency, spend more time in the air. All right, so as we move on to the mid swing, so this is where I'm actually looking at how high, let's bring this up closer. I'm actually looking at how high your heel comes up here. This is a really good indicator of how long your stride length is. This is what really prepares. Okay, yeah, so this is what really sets you up. Having your heel up to at least a 90-degree angle, if not higher, is what really sets you up to get your knee up to create that long stride length. And so that's the main thing I look for here in the mid swing, is just how high your heel is coming up is a good indicator of how long your stride length is going to be. And then the same here at the end of the swing, how high your knee comes up is also a good indicator of how far, both of how long your stride is, getting your heel up, and then your knee up creates a lot of flight time for you. But the other thing that it does, having a fairly high knee here also sets you up to come right back to this initial contact to be able to land on your midfoot instead of having to reach out and land on your heel. So getting your knee up here is also a really important one. And these two we spend a lot more time looking at in the clinics in person or over Zoom because it does make more sense when you're actually seeing it. So I'm not going to focus on these two today, but just know that getting that full range of motion in your leg as you get faster. If you're running pretty slowly, this isn't a huge concern for you. But if you're running faster, then getting that heel up and getting that knee up is going to increase your stride length and give you more flight time in the air. All right, any questions? Is trainer wear a good indication of core instability? For example, more wear on one shoe than the other. Yeah, that actually would be, there's a lot of things that you can do looking at people's shoes. And that's actually, I prefer to look at people running themselves rather than at their shoes. And so I'm not as familiar, but definitely if one shoe is more worn out than the other, you can see that someone's got more weight. So and that would likely come from the core. If they've got more weight to one side or if they're spending more time. It could also potentially be glute instability if that leg is just moving slower and the glutes aren't engaging and so it's spending more time on the ground. But that would definitely be a good thing to look at. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about how we can maximize our time in the air and minimize our time on the ground. So I've already mentioned this a little bit with the cadence. So let's talk about what the how to increase your cadence. I know I've talked with some people in the group about this. And so just some strategies that you can use to bring your cadence up to 180 beats per minute. So the first thing that you really want to do is find out what is your cadence currently. And some of you have, watches or GPSs that will measure that for you. But if you don't already, I would set a watch or your phone timer or something to 30 seconds and then count the strikes. So I always do it on one foot because it's too fast to try to count both feet. So I'll run for 30 seconds and how many times my right foot hits the ground. And then you take that, you multiply it by 2 to find out how many times both feet hit the ground. And then you multiply it by 2 again to figure out how many times that would be per minute. So if I'm hitting the ground 30 times in that 30 seconds with my right foot, I hit it 30 times, then then with both feet, so I'll multiply that by 2. So in the 30 seconds, I ground with both feet 60 times, and then in the whole minute, it would be 120 times. So that's my cadence is 120, which is way lower than I want it to be. So if you're looking at increasing your speed, the easiest thing to do is to pick up that cadence. I think I forgot to talk about this yesterday. So yeah, we can go into it a little bit more today. This will be really helpful for you if you're trying to pick up your speed. And so there are different ways that you can do this. The first thing I would do is just take, the first 5 or 10 minutes of your run every day and try to pick that up a little bit. So start counting, set your timer for 30 seconds, try to pick up your cadence, count your beats on your right foot. And if you haven't got to 45 or pretty close, at least to like over 40 in 30 seconds, then just kind of reset, pick it up again and start again. And just keep doing that until you get a feel for what that 45 seconds or what that 45 steps in 30 seconds feels like. So just keep, just resetting. So you don't want to do this necessarily during a run. You can do it as a warm-up. It would actually be a really good warm-up. You don't necessarily want to do it in the middle of a run where you're really focused on other things. but just start to get a feel for what that 45 beats on the right foot within 30 seconds feels like. And then once you've got it, once you've hit that 45 in 30 seconds, just keep going with it for a minute. And as you get more used to that, you can run for a minute at that cadence and then run for a minute or 5 minutes or something, focusing on something else, and then tune back into your cadence and pay attention. And you'll probably find that you start to lag when you stop paying attention, because that's the way learning a new skill works. But tuning back in, you can, depending on what you want to do, you can set a timer for every 5 minutes and then focus on counting your steps for a minute. And then, maybe do that for the first 20 minutes of your run and then enjoy the rest of your run. It's annoying to try to think about it for half an hour or an hour. And that can also be counterintuitive. But just dedicate the first 20 minutes of your run to upping your cadence until it becomes natural to you. Another thing that's really helpful, I don't like to listen to music when I run. I just like to be outside and enjoy the birds, and I like to be able to hear people coming up behind me and everything. But I know a lot of people like to listen to music when you run. And so picking a song or setting a playlist of songs at 180 beats per minute can kind of help you unconsciously keep up your cadence, and also gives you the something to tune into more easily than having to set your stopwatch and count when you're ready to tune back in. So yeah, those are some strategies for keeping up your cadence. And then the other thing is actually that midfoot strike can improve your efficiency and your time in the ground. And I'm going to try to show it with my hands here. I know this is a little jumpy, so I don't know how well it's going to come across, but hopefully you'll be able to see. So if you're landing with your heel onto the ground, then it takes all this time to roll through to your toe and push off again. And so that's quite a lot of time on the ground. And for running efficiency, you really want to minimize your time on the ground. Now, if you're landing on your midfoot, and by midfoot, I mean the pad of your foot right behind your toes here, you don't want to be running right up on your toes. That's also actually really inefficient, and it puts a lot of strain on your calves. But if you're landing on the pad of your foot here right behind your toes, then you've kind of got this spring effect. You still want to have your heel come down. Let's see, there we go. You still want to have your heel come down and touch the ground, but you're pushing off again really quickly. And so switching and focusing on that midfoot strike can be a way to minimize your time on the ground and create a spring effect in your feet to push you back up into the air really quickly. So yeah, so those are the two major ways that I would recommend starting to look at to improve your time in the air, which is going to improve your efficiency. And that's the time when there's no extra force, no pounding or gravity working on your body. And so it's also the time when it's hardest for you to get injured when you're running. The other thing that I really want to talk about a little is hip flexors. I think this is really important. It gets neglected a lot in talking about running form, but having flexible hip flexors. So the hip flexors are the muscles that bring your knees up towards your hip. It brings your thigh forwards, so flexing your hips. So that would be your quads and your psoas. And we all spend, maybe not all of us, but most of us in this society spend a lot of time sitting at desks, sitting in front of the TV, sitting and chatting. We spend a lot of time sitting. So usually our hip flexors are really, really tight. I was working on my personal training certification a couple of years ago, and I've always prided myself on being, a very flexible, fit kind of person. And so I found this test while I was doing that, the test that personal trainers use to determine if a person's hip flexors are properly flexible, you know, if they need work, and which hip flexors, because there are several muscles that play into that. And so I kind of, you know, all cocky, I was like, okay, I'm going to go over and try this Thomas test and find out just how flexible my hip flexors are. And so you're supposed to like lie down on a massage or body table so that the small of your back is touching it, and then see how far your leg drops, if you're able to touch the table or not. And I tried it. I rolled down and I tried dropping my leg down without arching my back. And I probably couldn't get down to more than like a 45-degree angle. It was really bad. So, so a lot of us are going to have that problem because we spend so much time sitting. And so just taking that time, there are specific, again, this isn't a great setup to actually show you the stretches, but finding stretches specifically for the psoas, PSOAS. The quad stretch is good too, but people tend to do it in a way that's not as helpful to open up the hip flexors, or to open up all the hip flexors. It only works a specific group. And so this is really important to be able to, let's see, which chart shall I use? Yeah, so you can see here, to be able to get that good long stride length, you can see that for a good runner, you actually want to have your leg going backwards in relation to your torso. And a lot of us can only do that by arching our back because of the structure of the muscles. And so you really want to have that flexibility. That's where a lot of the back pain in running comes from, is having those tight hip flexors. And so with every stride you're taking, you're kind of torquing your low back a little bit. So really focusing, for most people, I would say focusing on doing some stretching for the hip flexors. You're welcome to message me. I can send you a link. I'll actually post it in the comments here of some stretches that you can use for those hip flexors. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. Yes. So those are the three main things that I want you to focus on this week. Is your cadence, number one, your midfoot strike, number two, and then looking at your hip flexors, or creating flexibility in your hip flexors is number three. And then now that so just to summarize, now that we've looked at the running gait cycle, and just like all the different things, there are little minutiae that we can look at in every part of the gait cycle, but those I think are the three big takeaways to start with today: is your cadence, your midfoot strike, and your hip flexors. All right. Does anyone have any questions here? Okay, awesome. So I'm actually going to switch gears a little bit. I've been so impressed to see what everyone's been doing and all the training plans that you've been creating this this week. And so I know a lot of you, it looks like you have really great plans and really great goals. But if anyone out there is kind of feeling like you need a little bit more guidance, or you have some more questions and you need some accountability, or you're not sure if you can stick with your plan, you like the idea, but you think that you're going to have trouble sticking with it, I'd like to talk a little bit about my Rise and Run coaching program as well. And so for those of you who feel like you've got a good handle on your coaching program, on your training program, and you're not really interested in the coaching program, you're welcome to just tune off now, and then we'll be back tomorrow talking about the long run, and we have some great bonuses tomorrow. But if any of you are looking for a little bit more support and a little bit more of a holistic program, I really want to extend an invitation to join the Rise and Run program for the next year. So this is a program where I really wanted to provide all the support that you need, not just for running coaching specifically, but also to just transform your health and your confidence and be able to achieve your time, distance, and stamina goals with running. So I provide not only the running coaching in the program, but also a nutrition program, which is really amazing for helping support your running and helping to support your overall health. And then we go a lot into the recovery and the mindset strategies with step-by-step accountability so that you can actually stick with the program and get the results that you want. So the Rise and Run program, it's really designed to help you achieve your goals, whether you're trying to set a new personal record of distance or speed, which I know a lot of runners are working on, or if you're trying to figure out how to fit running into a really busy lifestyle because you want to be improving your fitness and your health in every area of your life. So during the program, I provide really personalized training. So I've tried to give you all these tools during this challenge right now so that you can create your own training program, but it has had to be a little bit of a one size fits all kind of thing just because there are so many of you out there. But in the Rise and Run program, I'm going to really talk with you and figure out what your specific goals are and provide a training plan focused on those results. And then we also have a Facebook group, a separate private Facebook group where I'll provide some extra coaching as necessary to answer your questions. And then the accountability is a huge piece for that, as well as the nutrition program that really jumpstarts your training with the right fuel of your body. So here's what I see a lot with runners. I know there's so many people who know that they can really take their running to the next level, but they kind of feel like they've plateaued and they're not sure where to go from there. So if you're trying to achieve a new running goal without holistic support, there's really only so far you can go. The patterns and the habits that have gotten you to where you are now, they've been amazing for getting you through the challenges that you've faced in the past and getting you here, but they're not going to take you up to the next level. So you might be finding that you're tapering off due to lack of energy just because your diet isn't providing the elements that you need to support your running, or you could be holding yourself back and kind of performing suboptimally because your mindset isn't set up for success. And then, of course, the thing that gets runners off track the most often is injury. And so if you're not running in a correct way or incorporating the right types of recovery in your daily routine, then you're at risk for having to stop for weeks or even months, which is going to set you back so much further in your training goals. And so I see a lot of runners who just kind of get stuck in that loop of knowing that they can do so much better and not doing it, not following through, and then just kind of feeling guilty. And they know that they're stuck in old patterns and that something needs to shift, something needs to change to get out of it. And then, that often I hear from runners that if you don't go for your run, if you're not sticking with your training program, then you're lacking energy, your mood is getting worse, you're crankier with your family and everything. So having those patterns, having that accountability and that support to change those patterns can be so important. So if your goal is to set a new personal record in time or distance, you really need to take care of yourself holistically. The Rise and Run program is centered around a personalized training plan that's really focusing on achieving your own speed and endurance goals. But as we know, 80% of your health is in the nutrition. And so I include in the program the nutrition plan that I follow. And so we'll do that together every quarter to be able to fuel our bodies for peak performance. And not only does the nutrition, fueling your body correctly, help you stay on track with your training plan, but it also gives you the energy to show up better in every area of your life. The next thing that we incorporate is recovery strategies. So in order to perform to your potential, I'll teach you how to incorporate different recovery techniques daily. And I pick ones that are tailored to what you need and tailored to your time, the time that you have to do them, so that you don't have to spend an hour or half an hour every day working on the recovery techniques. They'll kind of fit more easily into your life. And that integrates really well with the nutrition plan to get you ready for every run so that you can hit every workout with maximum energy. Then I also incorporate mindset. I think that mindset is so important for runners. If you want to be a top performer, then you have to have a top-notch mindset. And those daily negative thoughts that I know we all have can really derail you from achieving your goals. So I really is teaching the strategies for a winning mindset, which are going to be really helpful in so many different areas of your life. So we know that from placebo studies that having a positive mindset helps people recover faster. So that also plays into your recovery strategies and with your nutrition to be able to hit every workout that you do with full energy and get the most out of it. And then the last element is the accountability. So even the most disciplined of us fall off the bandwagon sometimes, and the Rise and Run provides the weekly accountability that you need so that you can keep your positive mindset up, make sure that you're prioritizing your recovery, sticking with your nutrition plan, and training to your full potential. So I hear from a lot of people, and this definitely makes sense that people are concerned about investing in a new program. But the program is a complete package, so it's worth so much to be able to have your meal plans set up with grocery lists and recipes. You get smoothies that you can throw together in 5 minutes after a run to refuel yourself. It saves you time of like trying to put together a training plan and trying to figure out how to troubleshoot what's going wrong. And it's great because you don't have to sign up for a running clinic here and buy protein powder over there and a meditation class there and a coaching program here. It's all put together in one package for you. So the price of the program, it's a year-long program because that's really what it takes to really transform your energy and see those differences come to full fruition. So it's $449 US dollars per month for the 12 months, or if you pay in full, you get 20% off. And so that's only $43.10 for the full year of program. And then I also do bonuses. So if you pay in full, then you actually receive a full Phytosport nutrition set, which is what I use. It's got an amazing pre-workout energy drink that really helps me fuel my energy, as well as electrolytes to help replenish that after your workout, and a recovery drink that makes so much the difference for me between feeling in pain for a couple of days after a long run versus being able to just get back into life really quickly. And then if you sign up this week, you'll also get a month's subscription to Jessica Rice's high-intensity interval training classes over Zoom. She'll be speaking on Wednesday. She has some amazing classes. I really love taking classes with her. And so that'll be a really great way to jumpstart your running, jumpstart your fitness, get a high-intensity interval training in there, which will help you get on board, help make your training go that much more easily. Another objection that I tend to hear is, now's not the time. I'm so busy. I can't put something else on my plate right now. And that definitely makes sense. I've definitely been there, and that can be really tough. But the question that I would just ask you is what you're doing now getting you where you want to be? And if so, that's great. Then keep doing what you're doing, and that's awesome. But if not, what needs to change? So I know that right now we're all kind of in a weird limbo where we're kind of coming out of lockdown, but we're not sure what's going to be happening or what races are starting up again. And and it's really hard to commit to something right now. But if you think about it, what better time is there to start training and get serious about your health than right now? We don't have full social calendars or full races, full race schedules and running groups and everything. So you have the time now to train intensively. You have the time to start focusing on your nutrition and start getting into that routine of meal prepping on the weekends so that you have healthy meals set out for the rest of the week. You know, I see all the memes around about like the before and after quarantine pictures where people have put on a lot of weight over quarantine. And I really want to help you reverse those. So I know this is a really tough time for a lot of people right now. I definitely get into my funks as well, which is why I need the accountability too. You know, I get have those days when I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I can't deal with this. I just want to watch YouTube videos all day. And so my coach actively reminds me and checks in with me and reminds me to check my mindset. She'll give me the pep talks I need when I need them to encourage me to get out there. And of course, having a consistent training plan makes sure that I get out of the house and do at least one thing that's good for me every single day. Uh, I know that a lot of you and a lot of us runners have this independent mindset, and that's awesome. That's one of the things I love about runners, of wanting to handle everything yourself. And there's so much information out there. Um, there's so much information out there about, you know, how to set up a training plan and everything. And so if you're someone who can stick with that on your own, go you. That's awesome. I've given you information here that you can do, that you can use and make your own training plan. But if you want to achieve your highest potential, then having a coach is invaluable. Even elite runners, they don't even just have one coach, they have a whole team getting them to the level that you're at or that they're at. And so the Rise and Run program, I'm really trying to provide as much support as possible for those of you who, you know, it's not realistic to have a whole team taking care of you. But I want to provide everything that you need, the nutrition, the training, the mindset, the recovery, so that you can live your best life, that you don't have to sign up for a bunch of different programs for different aspects of health. And having all access to all the information that you need online is great, but I've found that having someone to help you focus that, sometimes I get information overload, and having someone help focus my information means, and narrow things down means that then I can focus all my energy on getting the results I want. So yeah, the question is, if you keep doing what you're doing now, are you going to get the race results that you want when the races start back up again in the fall? And if not, what needs to change? So I just want to go a little bit more into what the program includes so that you have a good picture of what it looks like. So the core of the Rise and Run program is the coaching plan. So we'll take a look at your running and what your goals are and break down exactly what you need to do to achieve them. Okay. Oh, the lagging. Yeah, I've been having some trouble with the lagging on my end. Sorry about that. Hopefully this will come through okay. And so yeah, so we do that weekly Zoom call where we set up your specific training plan, cross training plan for the week, so that every time you hit your workout, you know exactly what you're doing and why. And because we're touching base weekly, we'll be able to troubleshoot issues as they come up instead of waiting until they become a major problem. The second element of the program is the 30 Days to Healthy Living nutrition program. So as I mentioned before, only about 20% of our health comes from our exercise, and 80% of it is in our nutrition. So having that good nutrition plan to fuel your body is key to achieving your goals in training and in life. So I incorporated this plan because it's the one I use. That it's honestly, it's been the only nutrition plan that I've ever been able to actually stick with and feel satisfied and not be thinking about food all the time. It's really easy to follow, and it includes a supply of plant-based protein powder and fiber, which are great for making a quick smoothie after training. And then it also includes meal plans for a whole month. So like I said, we'll be doing this once a quarter all together. And so it includes a meal plan whole month with grocery lists. So it makes getting into a routine with healthy food prep really easy. And then the other thing that I like is that it's an anti-inflammatory diet. So we cut out some of the biggest inflammatory, like the biggest culprits in our food that might be creating inflammation in our body. And so if you experience pain when you run or any other chronic, this is a great chance to figure out if there's something in your diet that's causing it by eliminating it for 30 days and then adding it back in and seeing what happens. And then it's also really flexible. That's one of the things I appreciate. So it's really easy to adapt to any dietary restrictions that you might have. Another thing that I really emphasize in the program is your recovery strategies. So we have a private Facebook group, the Rise and Run Facebook group, and that's where I share videos where specific stretches and specific foam rolling techniques based on what we've talked about in the private coaching sessions. And they'll be easy ones to incorporate before or after a run so that you can recover fully before your next training session without having to worry about spending half an hour every day foam rolling. And then, as we talked about today, the next element is running form. And I absolutely love working with people on their running form. So I'll walk you through the specifics of how you take a really good video so that we can do gait analysis. And then based on what we find in that gait analysis, I'll give you exercises and drills to help you correct your form. We can revisit this as often as we need to throughout the year, but I'll also teach you the basics of gait analysis so that you can check back in with yourself as well as you need to and start to correct your own form. And then we also include mindset. Mindset is so important for achieving your goals. So I'm going to teach you techniques to reduce the critical voices, which do have a place, but we don't want them to be the dominant voices in our head, and to increase your inner cheerleader. And then I'll teach you some mindfulness techniques, both meditation and non-meditation ones. If meditation isn't your cup of tea, that'll help get you through tough runs and also help you be more present and focused at work and with your family as well. And then I love working with visualization techniques. There are ways that you can use visualization to improve your skills, to improve your performance in your running, even when you're not able to get out on the road. And then, of course, no fitness program complete without cross training. So we'll talk about your overall health goals and then set up a cross training program that's tailored to that. And be prepared, whatever else we do, be prepared for lots of core strengthening. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you do planks or crunches unless you love those. There are much better and less painful ways to improve core strength. And then the big and arguably the most important aspect of the program is the accountability. I want to know that you're doing your runs. I want to know that you're sticking with your nutrition. I want to know that you're taking care of your mental health. And that's where we check in. We'll have a Strava group so we can keep track of our runs, as well as check-ins as necessary to make sure that you're staying on track and able to keep up with everything. So I'm going to post the sign up link right now. Let me find that. So if you want, I'm going to have just post this link in the comments. And if you want to see the information, sorry. But you can go to this website. It'll give you all the information, and then it will take you to the Square. Okay, that will go through. It'll take you to the Square checkout if you want to sign up for that, or if you want to take advantage of the pay in full discount contact, then I'll directly with me, and we'll get you on board for that. And then signed up, I'll contact you, and we'll set up our first appointment and everything. So I just want you to imagine in 3 months, when the races start back up, getting ready for your first race in a while, just being finish line and realizing that you've never felt better about a race. You've been training consistently, you've used the time wisely, and you have more energy than you've ever had before. And it's July or August, so you know that you have the mental, even if conditions turn out to be tough, you have the mental techniques to be able to push through it and perform well anyway. And if conditions are great, you're going to achieve a new personal best. You're not worried about bonking during the race because you've been fueling yourself consistently and you have more energy than you've ever had before. And as the program goes on, you're starting to feel the results of your 100% commitment to your health when you're putting your fitness first 24/7, and you're starting to tweak your running, noticing your improved efficiency and grace, and you're able to enjoy your running more than ever before. And better yet, with the nutrition and the mindset that we've been doing, that ease starts to translate into other areas of life as well. Being more present and less irritable with your family, more confident at work. So close on Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, which I think is GMT -6. And then after that, the price jumps to $549 a month, which is $5,270 a year. And so I know that a lot of you have to process and you have to think about it. If you have questions, I'm opening up some free 20-minute consultations so we can jump on a call and just take a look at what you're experiencing and see if this program is a good fit for you. It's a great fit for a lot of runners, but for some people, you might need something different than what I have, than what I have in this program. So awesome. Thank you everyone for who stayed towards the end. I've really enjoyed working with you here. And tomorrow we're going to be working on that long run, giving you some great information on how to do that long run. We'll be going over the checklist in our packet here. And then we have some great speakers next week. So on Wednesday, we've got Jessica Rice talking about high intensity interval training. She's got some amazing information on us about that, or for us about that. And then on Thursday, we are going to be talking the time for questions. So any questions you have running related, whether it's related to what we've talked about in the challenge or something entirely different or the coaching program or anything, you can bring those, or you could message me beforehand with those questions and I'll address them. And then Christina Canizares is one of my favorite people in the world. She's been one of my massage clients for a long time, and I've seen her training for triathlons, and I'm just so amazed at everything that she's done with that. And so she's going to share with us about that experience and how you train for a triathlon and how those sports work together and everything. So I'm really excited to see her on Friday. And then on Saturday, we have Kirsten Lackey, who, yes, she's my sister, and she's a registered dietitian, and she's an Ironman triathlete. She loves working with athletes, nutrition, and so she's going to have some great information for us on pre and post-race nutrition and on how to incorporate exercise and nutrition together for weight loss, since I know that that's a goal for a lot of people as well. So thank you everyone for tuning in, for everyone who's been watching to the end as well. I really appreciate you. I'm going to post the homework thread about running form right after this. Feel free to message me with any questions. And I will see you tomorrow to talk about long runs.